Welcome to Bees on Main here in beautiful downtown Stoughton. Rich Morris, lead drone at BroodMinder, and I'm going to show you how to configure MyBroodMinder version 5. There's a lot of information here, so the video will take a little while, but I'll try to break it up into sections so you can go to that quickly. But I want to cover this fully because there are a lot of great things you can do. So here from the home screen, I'll remind you, documentation has a lot of information about it, and we'll be adding it all the time. So if you haven't looked at it for a while, look at it again and you might see more. Okay, so we'll go to configure, and configure brings up all these different things that we can adjust. Apiaries, Hives, devices, hubs, third-party devices, public links, dashboards, alerts, and subscriptions. Alerts and subscriptions I'm going to cover in a separate video because they're a little bit involved. But to go through this, there's one other place I recommend you go. It's up here, account preferences, and here you can add your name. If you did want to delete it, you can delete it here, but you can set your name, and then you can also, if you like metric instead of imperial or those sorts of things, that's done here. So that's the only configuration that's not down here in configure. Okay, so let's charge through this. Apiaries. Apiaries, you can see I've had a lot of apiaries over the years. You can set them to active or inactive. Right now, if you set it to inactive, you won't be able to get to it, and you won't be able to set it back to active. The data is not gone. We're just working on the feature to bring that back if you want to. But that affects what you see over here on the left. So if I hadn't set these inactive, I'd see 12 apiaries that aren't useful to me anymore. You can also delete apiaries, of course, and they will be gone then. If you want to share an apiary, the sharing screen comes up here. You can see I'm sharing Bees on Main with Amanda and Rich Hogel. And that's pretty much what you can do there. Oh, you can also set the weather source. So if you want to use one of your BroodMinder sensors to collect the weather, or the cell devices, then you can set them in here. So you can add a temperature source, and then you can choose any of your devices as that temperature source or humidity source. So you can get hyper-local weather. Okay, so looking at Hives, you see the Hive name. We only want to see the active, so I'm going to click over here, and it'll bring all the active hives up to the top. You can certainly change the name. The hive code is how we identify it for becounted.org, so that we don't give away any personal information. The apiary that it's in right now, so you can see I have 3 hives in Walnut Bank 2023. And I have a bunch in Bees on Main that are test hives we use around here. You can edit that information. You can select which weight scale. If you have multiples in there, you can select which temperature device for monitoring your brood. Some details there that are sort of handy. You can look at what devices are in a hive. So in my Italian hive, I've got 2 scales and a brood temperature and a bee counter. Okay, so I know exactly who's in there and what they're doing. If I look at what apiaries this hive has existed in, it's only been in Walnut Bank. And if I moved it around, that would be how that is. So that's what you can do in hives. Then devices. So the way we keep data, device is separate, and then we keep one long string of data for each device and decide when it is in different places. So this is where we control that. So if we want to look at data last received, these devices are active in mine right now. You can see I've had dozens of devices out there. And when they've got their last data, if I want to move a device around, I can do it from here by checking move. I can delete devices. If you give it away to someone else or sell your device, then you'll need to delete it from your database so that they can have access to it. We only allow one person to own a device at a time. And so that's that. It's showing you exactly where it is. And if I hold the control button and click on that, then these are all hot links, which is very handy if you want to jump to that hive and look at what's going on. You can do that. And you can jump directly to that information for that sensor if you want that. Holding the control key opens on a new window, which I find is handy because then I can go back to this list. So that's what's happening in the Devices tab. Hubs is where you track all your hubs. You can see I have a bunch here because I do testing and all that, but the one in my apiary right now is 540201, and this is where I can do the assignment of the token. So we can choose which apiary it's in. So it's in there, and then let's see here. Yes, and here it tells the token which one it's used. You can remove it if you want to move it to a different hub or those sorts of things. I'll have a lot more information on tokens in another video. So if you move to a different apiary, you might have to change that, but that's where you can see that. You can hot link directly to the hub and look at information about that, and you can see I've got really spotty coverage where I am, so I have some missing data, but then it catches up when it finds it again. So let's see here. That's it's about hubs. Third-party devices are a whole nother thing. So we support Yolink temperature devices. So if you have interest in doing them, they're nice because they're LoRa based and have a very long range. We'll have a whole separate section in the manual about that, so you can look there. Since we don't sell them, you have to have a token to light up this facility, but it's really handy if you got widely spaced devices, hives. Okay, public links. So I talked about public links in the other video. This is where you can manage them. So if you start creating a lot of them and doing reports and sharing with people, you can end up with a lot of links. This is where you can change exactly the information of that. And yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. You can see I've got a couple of them here. There's the link. You can go to it and see exactly what it is you're sharing. And like this one includes a forecast, so we can see it's going to rain on Friday and Tuesday. So that's what public links do. Dashboards is pretty useful. So the dashboards, if you recall, are up here at the top. So you can choose what parameters you see and change what's in your graphs. And if you want, you can either edit them up here in this menu, but sometimes it's easiest to get yourself organized, in Configure Dashboards. So let's see, I want to get rid of this junk one. I can delete it. Something that's useful is if you want to just make some small modifications, you can duplicate it. So if I want to take BDAR but make a change to it, I can create that BDAR copy, then edit that. So new BDAR, and I want to add brood to that down at the bottom. Okay, so now if I go back here I can see I've got new BDAR, and down here at the bottom I've added brood. So that's really, you control all of your environment from these configure screens. So when we're helping people on the phone or that sort of thing, a lot of times we'll do all that management from here. Okay, so that's the bulk of them. I'll just mention here are the alerts. I'll go into a deeper talk about them here in another video. And subscriptions. These are the subscriptions that you have. Premium memberships, sell real-time tokens, third-party tokens, all that. Yeah, we try to give you as much as we can for free, but we got to pay the bills too. And we want to keep in business because we really like what we're doing, and we think we're doing a nice service here for everybody. So everything you can do to help support us, we appreciate it. And remember, every hive counts.